Reporting to the media this week at Post Executive Council Media Briefing is the Chief Secretary, Orville London.
As you know, we have been involved in meetings with the various political leaders over the past 2 or 3 months. And coming out of that, we have a consultation schedule which starts on the 2nd of June 2014, 10 a.m. at the Mount Irving Bay Hotel, where we'll be inviting the Parliamentary and Tobago House of Assembly representatives, because we believe in the first place that our Tobago representatives at all levels should be made aware of the process and be in a position to have their input before we go out to the public. Later that afternoon, that's on the 2nd of June, we have invited political personnel or political figures. These are individuals who over the years have been contributing to the process, have made comments, have been involved in various types of processes, and they'll be invited to that meeting on the 2nd of June. And then after those 2 meetings, we'll of course have informed the process. We move on to meetings with, I think, 12 other organizations, the business organizations, the construction industry, tourism and allied industries, professional organizations, including trade unions, financial institutions, faith-based organizations, art and cultural organizations, youth and sport. And we have 2 meetings for farmers and fisherfolk, one at Roxborough, one at the Division of Infrastructure Lecture Room, and then the 2 community-based organizations. And this phase climaxes on the 24th of June, 25th of June, with the community-based organizations at the Division of Infrastructure and Public Utilities Lecture Room. I will make copies of the tentative, the consultation schedule available to all of you. We then, in the next month, that's in July, we'll have 4 conferences and a convention. Each Sunday in July, there will be a conference, one in North, one in East, one in Central, and one in South, in West Tobago. Between the 3rd and 4th conferences, there will be a meeting in Trinidad for where we'll meet with all organizations and individuals in Trinidad who are interested in the particular process. And of course, we send in a special invitation to Tobagonians living in Trinidad. The way in which the process will develop, we're trying to make it as non-partisan, non-political as possible. Of course, that's challenging considering that you're dealing with a significant number of politicians. But except for the first 2 meetings, the meetings will be chaired by an independent chairperson, and the various political leaders will be given an opportunity to make statements. But the sessions will be conducted by an independent chairperson. And each session would have, including the first 2 sessions, will have an independent individual who would sort of give a synopsis of what has transpired over the years, what is the objective of this particular exercise, and of course give an idea of the thought processes behind this particular initiative. So all of this, as I said, is geared towards trying to bring everybody on board in this very, very important exercise. And I'm saying this in all sincerity. This is not about political gimmickry. I think we all understand that all of us, in some way or the other, would have contributed. And all of us maybe could have done things differently and maybe made greater progress. I do not know. But at this point in time, this is no time for blame laying and finger pointing. I think this is a time when all of us have got to realize that this might be the last real opportunity we have to do it right and to do it in such a way that the objectives are achieved. So I'm making an appeal to all Tobagonians, whether politicians or not, to join in this particular process. At the end of the exercise, it will belong to no single individual, it will belong to no single party, as long as we all do it together. Because in a real sense, the individualism will be subsumed in this collective desire for us to achieve our common goals. So that is one. As a result of this, we are going to be postponing the resumption of our Meet the Community meetings to July. Our original schedule that I have here had the first meeting carded for Thursday the 12th of June. As you know, we did one round already. Over the past year, we've been going to different communities. We've been to 13 communities in the 12 electoral districts, and we intended to resume that exercise in June. But because we have such a heavy schedule, the consultation schedule is really going to take up about 13 or 14 days in June. We didn't want it to be overwhelmed by, you didn't want the consultation schedule to overwhelm the community meeting. So we're going to start on the Thursday, the 10th of July at Crown Point. I just want, you know, and I think I must say this, that whereas it took the central government 4 years to embark on a Meet the People exercise, we did it after the first month, and we've been doing it consistently for the past year and a half, and we will continue to do it until between now and the next election, because we don't believe that this should be just an election gimmick meant to, you know, put people in a particular frame of mind just before an election. It is really meant to signal what true democracy is, which is a situation where the people are given as much opportunity as possible to participate in the process, but not just to participate in the process, to influence the process, and in some cases actually instruct the process. So I think that that is something that we deservedly are taking some credit for. And we start, as I said, at Crown Point on the 10th of July, and we'll continue in each of the electoral districts until we exhaust the second round of activities. Tomorrow, the Public Service Commission, the chairman and members of the Public Service Commission, are going to be paying a courtesy call on the Chief Secretary and, let's say, the Tobago House of Assembly. Although it is a courtesy call, there are a number of issues which I'm hoping to raise with them. Among them, of course, the challenges, the perennial challenges, and this has nothing to do with this particular commission. It is something that has been bugging the Tobago House of Assembly for, well, since I became Chief Secretary and maybe long before that. The whole question of promotions, of transfers, of appointments, of, you know, people getting leave on the grounds of public policy and so on. So, and then I think just as importantly, the relationship between the Tobago House of Assembly as an institution and the Public Service Commission, and how do we interpret the constitutional point that the Tobago House of the Public Service of the Tobago House of Assembly is a separate entity and which should be treated in a particular way. That is something that we're going to be discussing with the Public Service Commission. On Monday, Justice Peter Rajkumar is going to give his decision on the Charlottesville mall issue. I think you know that this matter has been before the court for close to a year, maybe more, where Erwin Hercules and others versus the Tobago House of Assembly. And the Justice Peter Rajkumar, he heard the submissions earlier this week, and he has indicated that at 9:15 a.m. on the 26th of May, he will give his decision. I'm not going to comment on it. It will be, you know, I think quite out of place for me to comment on it, except to say that the Tobago House of Assembly will be very relieved when closure is brought to this issue, because obviously it has created serious challenges for us. So we await the decision of the judge. I was quite relieved when I got a message from an official of the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport that work on the Dwight York track is almost complete. As you know, work had to be suspended because of the use of the Dwight York facility for the state funeral of the late Arthur N.R. Robinson. And the installers who came from Germany, the installers actually had to leave. They actually left and went to Guyana to do a track installation there, and then they had another assignment in Costa Rica. So we were very concerned as to whether we'd be able to get them back to Tobago. Fortunately or unfortunately, the weather in Guyana was not particularly kind to the process, and you can't install except you have a whole day of sunlight. They got none of that in Guyana, so the contractor was able to persuade them to return to Tobago, and knock on glass or whatever. They have been very fortunate to date, and they have got about 5 or 6 days. And the last report that I got from the director, Mr. Trim, I just want to maybe read it to you, where he said that, well, because of overnight rain, there was no work on the track this morning, but the entire track has been laid. Only area left to be done is the run-up area for the long and triple jump. And the installers have indicated barring rain, they would be done by this weekend. So I know you pray for rain, and we want some rain after but pray that the Lord will give us 2 more days of sun, and then the rains could come after that. It's quite encouraging, because I think all of us know the frustrations felt. This has been, I think, 3 years that we have not had full use of the Dwight York Stadium. And I want to commend the athletes and the coaches and so on, who, despite this, handicap, were able to continue their domination at the secondary schools athletic championship. Our athletes did quite well at the Carifta Games, and of course at the national games in which they participated. I think the primary schools are due to get involved in national athletic championships also, and we expect good things from them. I just want to indicate that I have written to the Commissioner of Police asking for him to, for the police service to train 50 Special Reserve Police officers on behalf of the Tobago House of Assembly. As you know, we have a number of areas in Tobago where security and surveillance services are needed, but there is a manpower shortage within the regular police service, and even areas over which the Tobago House of Assembly has responsibility. The resources are not available for the Tobago House of Assembly to carry out its duties. You have, for example, we have some challenges with respect to the management of our state lands. What happened in the rainforest? I'm not saying it was only because of lack of surveillance, but this is just an example of what is needed if we are to protect the thousands of acres of state lands and millions or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of assembly property. We have the question of the protection of our road reserves, the whole question of ensuring that the whole mantra of clean, safe, and serene preventing illegal vending and so on. There are a number of areas, protection of our tourism sites, so that we have made a request. I know it is challenging on the part of the Port Police Service because they themselves need the manpower or womanpower, but I am hoping that we will get a favorable response, and in months rather than years, we'll have the services of these Special Reserve Police officers to assist us in achieving our objectives in Tobago. And finally, the Integrity Commission well, let me put it differently. The Integrity Commission officers will be in Tobago on Friday at Mount Irving to conduct a session with those persons in Tobago who fall under the Integrity Commission Act. And these would be, of course, the members of the Assembly. This year, for the first time, the administrators in the Tobago House of Assembly are going to be falling under the Integrity Act. And, of course, the members, Tobago representative on national boards, national boards and committees. And I think it's something that, I find very comforting that the officers are willing to come to Tobago. There'll be a general session at the Mount Irving Bay Hotel in the morning, and then in the afternoon they will do individual sessions where people can actually go in, carry their forms, and get some assistance with that. So I think that will be very helpful, especially for those who are doing it for the first time, and we must be very appreciative of this particular initiative.
With respect to PSA President Watson Duke, I don't know if you heard him when he was saying that there are health issues at this building here. Have you received any such reports from employees here?
No, quite interestingly, yesterday I received, for the very first time, a report that came from the energy audit, that an energy audit was conducted at the Codler Hall Administrative Complex. That report would have been made available in February. The line officers would have been putting things in place to treat with it, but they had to treat with it within the ambit of the resources that were made available to them. So, for example, there would have been repairs done to the air conditioning unit. There would have been issues having to do with they actually move people out of various areas in the building. But when I saw the report, I immediately gave instructions for an executive council note to be done, which I took to the executive council today, and in effect asking for a total of just over $3 million to additional funding of $3 million to supplement the vote that we have to deal with issues on a long-term basis. The big problem here is that we have a central unit. All of this is cooled by a central unit, which has its challenges. Replacing a central air conditioning unit, as you all would know, is a fairly expensive and fairly complex process. And the line officers who were dealing with it did not have that authority because they obviously couldn't spend beyond a certain amount. But as I said, once I got the information, and this present administrator, chief administrator, and myself were only aware of it yesterday, and we will have made the necessary arrangements so that note was passed, and I expect that will be effected as a matter of urgency. But I just want to reiterate that when they got the report that the line officers had put in place, in fact, I have a report from them which indicated what they had done in order to treat on temporary basis with those issues which were brought to light in the energy report.
Any updates on the health of Mr. Hilton Sandy?
Yes, I got a report from the Dr. Duke, who got a report from the people at the university, not the university, the hospital. I don't have the report on me, but basically he has made some progress. Nothing miraculous, you know, but he did make some progress. He should be returning to Tobago within the next 2 weeks, and but you know, one should not expect any miracles. But there was some progress, and we are, you know, quite comforted that we would have done all that we could for a faithful servant, and at least that he'll be able to have some quality of life when he returns. And I think I want to also pay public tribute to his wife, who has been with him for the past 2 to 3 months, and you know, who must be also enduring, you know, serious challenges because of the situation. But there has been some improvement, but nothing dramatic.
With regards to the process of self-governance with the leadership meetings, we're almost at the final stages, and we have been seeing a consistent trend where the TOP representation is absent or visibly absent. Any comments on that?
I think it's going to reach a point where it will become irrelevant whether you're PNM, TOP, TPT, or whatever. It will reach a point where it's about, one, being a Tobagonian, two, being interested in the process, whether you're Tobagonian or not, and three, being committed to participating in the process and contributing to the process. Because you see, that is what we're trying to get away from. And as I said, because we are in politics and we are seen as politicians, there's a natural suspicion. You know, you want to make political mileage of it. And maybe, you know, that's the nature of politics. But I'm saying that when I listen to the people around the table, even when I listen to the TOP at that meeting that they would have attended, you got the feeling that people are tired. They're tired of the friction, they're tired of the animosity, they're tired of the weakening of our resolve because we cannot, you know, bring ourselves to collaborate and to unite with one another. And they're willing to give it one try. And I'm just saying that what we are hoping to achieve is that by the time we get to the conferences and the convention, that people are there as representatives of their units or their sectors, but also, maybe more importantly, as Tobagonians. And that is why we try to deal with the sectors, because we operated on the premise that they're sectoral interests, and therefore people's loyalty or people's affinity to people with similar interests would hopefully supersede their political differences, and that is what we're hoping, and that is why, to a certain extent, we have to de-emphasize the politician. Yes, we would have started or initiated the process, but I think the politicians will have to now sort of go more into the, I wouldn't say into the background, but actually allow the populace to speak. And I'm hoping that the representatives of the Tobago Organization of the People will enter the process, if not supporters of the Tobago of the Organization of People, so that we have a united front. Because the only thing that I think would frustrate this process is if the decision makers, especially at the national level, realize that we divided. Because they're going to say, I could ignore them and get away with it. It's only if you're united. And that is why we would have done it in a way that we considered non-partisan. What we did is that we dealt with the demands of the people. Because if you examine you know, this struggle from 1970, if you want to take it from 1977, whenever. There's a similarity, I mean, almost a sameness about the demands. And we say if we agree on that, regardless of political affiliation, then you can find that things will flow from that.
Request to have SRPs trained. Is it a case where they will be paid directly by the THA? Are they going to be uniformed differently? And how does this connect with the earlier request or intention to have an assembly police?
Yeah, all right. Yes, they will be paid directly from the particular division. Uniform would be a matter of circumstances, right? It all depends on what kind of duties they're performing. And with respect to the Tobago Police, no, it does not affect our desire and our intent to pursue Tobago Police, but that is a different kind of approach. And I just want to reiterate, you know, something that I would have spoken about some time ago, that when you look at the Tobago Police bill that would have emanated from the Tobago House of Assembly, and the passage at the central government level, it's quite interesting that no government said no to the Tobago Police bill. The objections came at the level of the civilian, well, not the civilians, the level of the non-politicians. You know, the Solicitor General, the then Commissioner of Police, these were the people who objected. And again, what they did is exactly the point I was speaking to when I spoke to Mr. McCool, that they used clauses in other acts, because remember the Tobago House of Assembly Act would have given, so they used clauses in other acts to indicate why the Tobago House of Assembly could not have its own police. But the two things we intend to pursue.
In light of the startling reports about what is taking place up in the rainforest, has an investigation been instituted by the THA?
Yeah, we did raise it with the Secretary today. He said he got a preliminary report, and based on that preliminary report, he is going to instruct that a more in-depth report be made. Who is making it, whether it's going to be the police or not, I do not know, because you wouldn't bring in the police except you have some strong evidence of malfeasance. And I'm just saying that it might be doing it in stages. I do not know. But the Secretary did indicate that based on the preliminary report, there are areas of serious concern, and because of that, he is going to be instructing that there be a more detailed and in-depth report, and then based on that, further action could be taken.
How would you?
Because I find it, you know, from my perspective, both as Chief Secretary and as an observer, I find it highly disturbing that activities of that magnitude could be going on for that long in a relatively public place without some action being taken. I have concern about that, and I think that concern was shared by all the members of the Executive Council, including the Secretary, and something will have to be done.
How would you respond to widespread claims, allegations, suggestions that the elements within the Agricultural Division, the Agricultural Department, that are probably aware or even acting in collusion with those responsible for what is taking place up there?
I would indicate that these are among the issues that have to be investigated.
Any updates on the Chief Secretary's residence in Lowlands? I
spoke to the people about that, because I think that is one of the areas, you know, where you sometimes, in my position, are very frustrated because I can't bill it yourself. That project was to be finished at the end of May, and I was supposed to be in there by the end of June. I did speak to the Secretary of Infrastructure, and he has indicated to me that it should be completed as the construction by the end of June, that all the landscaping and so on should be, and that the interior work should be finished by the end of July, so that somebody should be moving in there in August. And that's the impression I get from him.
Thank you for tuning in to another Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council media briefing for the week ending May 24th, 2014.